Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's session and a very insightful webinar for all. And that's on the subject of faster workflows with integration and extension apps for our products, WoodWing Asset and Studio. I'm Magdalena, a product marketing manager here at WoodWing, and I'll be your moderator today. So as I said, we're really excited to have you all here today. I assume it's a mix of current users and customers of WoodWing Assets and Studio, or maybe you're even somebody that's interested and just looking around and interested to find out more about the integration options around our products. So good. Here we are. Joining me today are two of our internal experts from WoodWing, and that's Jeff Gapp joining us today from the US. He is the product manager for WoodWing Connect, and he's been leading the development of our integrations and pre-built applications. And from the other side, or from EMEA side, it's or UK, Paul Walker, the product development manager at WoodWing, who is working closely with our customers and partners to design and deliver the WoodWing extension apps. So they will, as I said, walk you through of how integrations and apps like the workflow assistant, the content delivery hub, and the PDF manager, and of course our pre-built integrations, which I already mentioned, can help you and your teams really eliminate manual steps, reduce silos, connect systems, and really do increase the speed and velocity of your go-to-market efforts. Throughout the session, we're also going to run two polls, which are short. We'd like to hear from you, your input and your stance on the current position in terms of having extension apps or integrations within your organization. So yeah, please take a moment to participate. These polls are gonna run on the side panel of the Webinar Geek and won't interrupt our speakers when they present the key integrations and applications. And of course, feel free to drop any questions that you might have in the Q&A option on the side during the webinar, of course, and we'll spare some time at the end to try to answer them all. So before we begin, a quick overview of what we're gonna present today with our speakers. So the WoodWing apps that I mentioned are the workflow assistant, the content delivery hub, and PDF manager. And afterwards, we have pre-selected a couple of highlighted integrations that are already listed and available on the WoodWing Integrations Marketplace. So my colleagues are going to be demoing some of these. They're listed here, and I'm sure it's going to be an insightful demo, and you'll get to see firsthand the possibilities and the possible use cases for these applications and pre-built integrations. So with that, let's get started. I'd like to invite on the stage my colleague Paul to start you off with the WoodWing apps. Paul?
Thank you, Magdalena. Good introduction. So let's start with the workflow assistant. So what is the workflow assistant? Well, it's for WoodWing assets primarily, and the idea for the user, users of DAM systems, users who are working your assets, have quite a tough job sometimes. What we're presenting here is a highly configurable interface, and this is tailored to individual roles that users are performing. What we're trying to do is reduce the complexity for users. Quite often, business rules that the users have to follow as things go through a workflow could be difficult to remember, difficult to train. So we reduce that complexity. Also, it helps channel the workflow process. So the idea is in providing this configurable interface that the steps that the user might have to follow can be laid out very, very clearly. And in doing that, also provide detailed feedback. So at every step of the way, there's required meta fields. You need to fill in these forms. Or if you are here, we're looking for you to change it to one of these two statuses. Don't list all the statuses, reduce it down. Only show them the statuses that they they need to see for that role, for that job. And also the idea is to present this in a friendly language. Use the words that they use. Because this is adaptable, because we have a facility that can change throughout the business, often we find that different groups, different departments within the business might use slightly different terminology for the same thing. Quite often in media groups, you might have one group saying or referencing the hero image or the major image or the master image. Well, if you can use that language with each department, but actually channel that down into something common under the hood, then from a business, you keep it simple, but you can express it in different ways for the different groups of users. This also includes territories, because sometimes you have different territories that might use slightly different words, but actually really mean the same thing. And also as a common gateway to other services. So within WoodWing Assets, sometimes you can get the yet another interface, yet another panel, yet another. And this can be true of so many different dams across the business. But what we can do here is we can provide a gateway application that users can channel their workflow. And if you need to launch services, you don't need yet another visual surface. You can do it through this visual surface here. And this also leans into WoodWing Assets' vast array of kind of tools and services and facilities that you can control quite a lot of them through this tool. But what does it mean for the business? So kind of, we touched on it before. The key is to reduce training time. Quite often, if you've got complex business rules, and we're aiming here to separate the business logic from the users don't have to know, fill in these 5 meta fields to approve something. They just want to click a button, I approve. So under the hood, the tooling gives you the mechanism to add the right business rules, to maybe trigger downstream services, or to provide information for an audit trail. And if you have that separation from the business logic, you can help reduce this training time, onboard people quicker, get them in. So if you need to bring more people in to speed up something, you can do it quicker. Also improves consistency. By having this channeled workflow tailored to someone's role, you want to make sure that the steps that they do, we've kind of channeled them in here. That has the kind of the 2 added benefits of reducing errors and reducing the need for support. Quite often, if you're not careful, you might have kind of done something within your business logic where, there's 5 options, but in this instance, we only want you to choose one of these. Well, what happens if they do choose the other options? So the worst case scenario of, now you've got the wrong metadata polluting your trail, downstream, it might cause a problem. Well, by having this kind of constrained workflow for users, keeping it friendly, but very much channeling it down, you can reduce any errors, need for support. And ultimately that adds up to increased productivity. If you keep people flowing, if you keep channeling through these workflows, then we should see a reduced time to market. One of the key things as well is this is actually a suite of tools, because not only do we have the workflow assistant that sits on the front end, in the back end, the configuration of this back end is a drag and drop interface, keeping it as WYSIWYG as possible, where you can create complex rule sets, where you can see and reveal different buttons, different messages, different notifications on a kind of constrained by a query. So only if the user selected a video asset and the video asset has this metadata, show them this message. So this helps channel the user through these things, and also say reduces this error. But that configurator is given to you also. So either the consultants can help you work through that. You can make the changes yourself. So again, keeping you firmly in control. You don't have to always dial home for any changes. I'm just going to give you a short video, and this will kind of show you a little flavor of what the front end and how it could be used has to offer. So it's not that long. It's about 3.5 minutes. And I'll see you on the other side. So first of all, it's a panel plugin. And if we see here, we have a number of panels available. Each of these are fully configurable and tied to an individual role. So if I'm a media producer, for example, all I'll see is a media producer. If I'm a picture researcher, I might only see picture research. Both of these might also see asset details. Today, I'm just in sample panel and I'll give you a quick demo through. So first of all, you can see, as we mentioned before, signposting, instructions for users on what this section does. Guidance, select one or more assets, not collections. So here, constant feedback being given to the user. It's also contextual. I might select an asset over here and we have description appears. So for images, description might be a required field, whereas a PDF, it's not. So again, constantly trying to kind of reaffirm to the user, reduce what is displayed so that they can just focus on the job at hand. So we'll talk about this in a moment. Grouping assets. So grouping is but one kind of feature. Tagging, so the system, you have various lists, from straight lists to hierarchical lists, all the usual things that you would expect. Here again, we can have notes. So here, an external file. So, and if I kind of click through here, we notice some different types of messaging. So whereas this asset has required meta fields, this does not. So a simple, here is my publish to the platform. I'm unable to publish this video. It doesn't meet the metadata requirements. I have to fulfill those metadata requirements before I'm then able to publish. So now the warning errors have gone. And here we have the publish to platform withdraw. I can't withdraw it till I've published it. Once we publish it, the withdrawal will be shown and I can withdraw it. So this is how the contextual nature of the workflow assistant can make sure that users are less error prone and can perform the function driven by the instructions that you are presenting to them. So how do we do it on the back end? So if we just have a quick look at the configurator. So here we have many fields, different types of buttons, from browse to metadata stamping, add one or more meta fields, perform a query. Here is a user definable metadata stamp, so it appears on the front end, to generate metadata report. We have notifications. We have preset combinations. This is an ever-growing list, so we'll be adding more to these. And grids. You notice previously the publish and the withdraw was side by side, rather than just using a vertical alignment. So just coming back to things, for example, the button for the metadata, looking on here for the ISBN. So this is where you're displaying an ISBN and we're giving the user a button. Show all briefs with the same ISBN. So if I was to select an asset, an ISBN was to show in here, what we have in the settings is a query. And this here allows the user to not have to know what the Lucian query language is. So they can select an asset and say, oh, show me things of similar type. Here we have extensive features to contextualize, disable, and confirm button messages. So each option comes with an extensive array of different features. So that's a kind of a broad view of what the system is. We also have a data panel in which you can plug in external data. So your lists that, so on a field, these fields can be driven by lists from external sources. They don't have to exist in assets. So that's just a quick review. Thank you very much for watching. Around the workflow assistant. Okay, so that gives you a kind of quick flavor about the workflow assistant and what it can do. And now we're going to move on to the content delivery hub. So The content delivery hub, what is it? So we describe it as a modular content orchestration platform. So this is a studio-based product, or sits alongside Studio, and where you can use the kind of fantastic and very rich tool set to create your print and digital content. It's then expressing that content to the many different streams. And over the years, more and more channels have been added to the ever-growing list of requirements from publishers and other different kind of industry verticals. So the key thing with the CDH is its modularization. So to kind of look at that in kind of a bit more detail, we have a kind of a 4-step process. So the first one is pre-process. So before you export, is there anything that you want to do? Transform, how you then want to change that article. Post-process, what do you want to do after you've done transform that article, and then publish. Where do you want to publish it? And at the very end of that, we have notify. So keeping the users informed about what's just happened, where has it gone, was there any problems along the way? So looking in a little bit more detail. So the first one we have is the pre-process. So this is where we collect more information that might be otherwise present on the article itself. So looking at the dossiers and the metadata that it came from, looking at the images contained, where that image might have come from on the layout of a page. And then equally collecting data from PIM, from other external sources to go, well, actually, we need to enrich this with more data. And that data could be used in the publishing, or it could be used in any one of the next steps. So the very next step would be then to transform this. So once you've got your article, you might need to convert it to XML, WordPress, Drupal, JSON, or anything else. And this is where, when you're pushing it to different services, it'd be great if everybody used the same format, but rarely do they. So this gives us the power to be able to transform any article into any kind of stream service that we need. And if we don't have it, then it's modular enough. You can trigger. So for example, Jeff will be talking about this so soon, is using WoodWing Connect, you can kind of tap into another resource and say, well, we want to trigger this from a webhook, take the data, transform it into a service, another different format. So if we haven't done the module, that doesn't stop there. We can fire triggers that can go off, and either we write another transform, you write another transform, you leverage another. The list can be endless. So this is where, using this service, you can take this to almost any format that you need to. Once you've done the transformation, there might be a little bit more you want to do. So for example, callbacks. Hey, I'm done. I just want to let you know. Trigger another downstream service. Reset metadata back into Studio. Basically say, yes, the publishing is underway. It's going to these different services. And manipulate images, slicing, dicing, cropping, reducing the color space, all the transforms that you might need to then push this to then further downstream services. What we then have is the publishing process. And again, very much like the transform, all of these stages are modularized. And if we haven't created a module already, it's open enough that we can create more modules. So we currently have published to S3, SNS topics, webhooks, SMS, Drupal, WordPress. It's a fairly extensive list. But if you look out there, there's so many CMSs in the world. This is why we came up with this, because you need that flexibility. You don't want to be locked into a particular delivery mechanism to, oh, we're on a WordPress site. If there is a business need to change, your tooling needs to be able to adapt. This is where the CDH can help with that. So in the entire publishing process, as the business adapts to an ever-changing landscape, the publishing process is already there to adapt with it. So the key features are within WoodWing Studio, being able to publish out to multiple channels, taking data from articles, images, layouts, dossiers, metadata, custom metadata, external sources, and using either articles to drive these, layouts to drive these, issues to drive these. So however your business is organized from a structural point of view in how you publish a page, an issue, an article out through to your external sources, the CDH is there to be your partner in this. That's my kind of presentation concluded. I'll be available for any questions. What I'm going to do now is hand over to my colleague, Jeff Gapp.
Very good. Thank you, Paul. Again, my name is Jeff Gapp. I'm the product manager for WoodWing Connect, and we're going to be talking about a variety of things, but first we're going to talk about PDF Manager. So what PDF Manager is it's actually a tool that's been around for a little while. But what we wanted to do is make the process of generating PDFs in general, but also make the process of creating IDML files, packaged files, JPEG and PNG exports of the pages, and XML files a little bit more seamless. So the idea here is that when you're inside of Studio, the idea is that you can, of course, use a trigger to generate a PDF, and you can do that in multiple ways. So for instance, you might create a PDF, single page PDF, so layout. So page 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's one file, right, per page. You can, of course, merge those pages together. You can have configurable parameters around things like the naming structure, using the data that's coming from Studio. So wide range of different ways. Unique names, you can have names based on your issue, your brand issues, status kinds of values. You can use defined job options, color settings. Of course, you can dictate those when you send a job over to your design server. And those are, of course, yours, right? So customizable file naming. You can do, of course, pre-flight checking. You can get the errors back into WoodWing Studio. You can update the workflow, right? So you can have, hey, trigger a PDF or create PDF, PDF in progress, PDF completed, PDF had an error. And then you can see the error right within Studio. And of course, package and design layouts, export XML, layout images. You can extract images from the layout. That's what you want to do. The workflow options within PDF Manager, there's multiple ways to trigger this process. So you can use statuses. So kind of a typical way of doing that. If you don't want to use statuses, maybe because you don't want to have 5 different statuses within your workflow, you could use a metadata field, right? So you have a Boolean field, you click on it, and a PDF gets generated. We also have a tool that's coming up called the PDF dialog, which will allow you within publication overview to bring up a dialog and generate single or multi-page PDF files. Those then can get merged together inside of, say, a spread. And then we can also do things like watermarking and social DRM. Those are things that are coming up next within that plan. Now, there's some really key capabilities where, yes, it's pretty straightforward to generate the different kinds of files you want, but you can also then deliver them to different locations. So one location, of course, is asset 6 or 10. You trigger the generation of tool, it delivers these files automatically to those systems. You might put them back inside of Studio Server, inside of a dossier as part of the issue. You might put them in S3. Long story short is that you deliver these to any endpoint that you want, right? As long as that endpoint can handle the incoming messages and do something with the content. Obviously, we support both standard and custom workflows within this environment. Now, one of my favorite things here is we're just completing work on this is the PDF dialog. As you can see here in the middle, this is the basic user interface where you put in an email address and a message, right? Salutation, remarks, subject. decide if it's going to be a spread, document options, page range, those kinds of things. And then hit the button, and a user will get an email with a link to either how to download it. Might be you might say from Amazon S3. You might say it's the download link is in Assets, right? So, or whatever else you might have out there. So this is really a cool tool, and we'll have more about this very soon. Now, the other thing that happens with PDFs and that Paul's team is working on this, and actually this is delivered and working for a customer now, is you have this idea of PDF Certify. PDF Certify is this ability to say from either Studio or from Assets to be able to trigger the sending of a PDF to Pitstop, and then have Pitstop certify the file based on the standards that you want, deliver the file, certified file back to whichever of the tools you want, along with the reports. Today, this integration is currently in development. That's incorrect. That development is actually completed, and the tool is available as of right now. Got another pretty cool tool. This is a totally different topic, right? So PDF Manager and its associated tools are all about workflow and delivering content to a destination. The next tool is called AI Assistant. And so, sorry about that, on-demand PDF generation. So AI Assistant is this tool that the name actually covers a wide variety of capabilities within the AI Assistant. And really, it's about automating some routine tasks that you do while you're editing content, right? And then maybe offering contextual suggestions. It's really designed to help you to make your folks more efficient and help produce higher quality results in a faster time frame. So what I'd like to do here is I'm going to switch to our movie, and we're going to take a look at that movie. So let's go ahead.
In this video, we'll introduce one of our latest technology previews, the AI Assistant inside WoodWing Studio's digital editor. The AI Assistant is designed to make your daily work easier, helping you generate content or copy edit your stories with just a few clicks. Let's explore what it can do. You can find the AI Assistant in the toolbar on the right side of the digital editor. Here, you'll see a list of standard actions, such as creating titles, social posts, teasers, or running checks to analyze your content. For example, you can use it for copy editing a story, performing a SEO check, or running a tone and style analysis to verify your story, or even compare it against a reference story within Studio. Beyond the standard actions, you can also create or configure custom prompts. Your administrator can set these up per brand, and you can decide which prompts to activate based on your needs. Let's look at some examples. First, we'll select Create Titles. Here, you'll see options for both digital and print titles. Suppose you want a short print title, just hit the copy button, and you can quickly replace the title in your article. The same goes for social posts or teasers, simple, fast, and efficient. Now, let's try copy editing. When we select this action, the AI Assistant runs a series of checks, looking at grammar, brevity, cliches, and more. After a short moment, you'll see the analysis results. You can review the suggestions, choose the parts you want to update, and hit Replace to apply them directly to your story. Finally, let's look at custom prompts. For instance, you might want to generate an FAQ from your article. With just one click, the AI Assistant creates a set of questions and answers you can reuse, either in this story or elsewhere. The possibilities are truly endless. We can't wait to hear your feedback as you start exploring what the AI Assistant can do for your content workflows. Thank you for watching.
Very, that's one of my favorite recent developments. Terribly recent, right? We've been working on that for a while. But it's a pretty cool tool to help with efficiency, speed, et cetera, et cetera. So the next thing to take a look at here is some WoodWing integrations. So quite some time ago, 3 years ago, what we did is we created a product called WoodWing Connect. And WoodWing Connect is really the idea of a umbrella over a variety of things. It's the PBIs. I'll talk about those in a moment. The APIs that we have, trying to make things easier, better, faster for our partners and our customers to create these best of breed solutions. Now, as part of that, we came up with this idea of pre-built integrations. And the idea here is that for customers to be able to come in, be able to go through a list of integrations we've built in our marketplace and be able to actually use those integrations relatively quickly. And the idea here is to meet a simple set of requirements, make the integrations easy to deploy, make them so they can be modified for deeper requirements, right? Because everybody always wants a little bit more, right? We try our best to meet the base use cases. And of course, you may have something else you want, and make sure that they are affordably priced. When we built these, then we selected a group of categories within the PBIs. So things that are AI driven, project management, content reuse, file data, miscellaneous, and technology partners. Then from there, what we said is let's pick a variety of different vendors to work with and base what we're building off of customer requests over time. So as you can see here, I'm not going to read this entire list, but so things that are AI driven, recognition, clarify, and visual search, right? Content reuse, project management, miscellaneous tools like Slack, Teams, right, for communication. Power BI is a nice integration. We have file data import and export. And then lastly, we have technology partnerships, Tanza and Infogram for spell check for Tanza and Infogram for tables within the digital editor. Now, each one of these tools has some use case that we created. And it could be that with the visual search, you want to go ahead and be able to either find duplicates of images that you have within your system, or maybe you want to find or select an image and say, I want to find everything that's similar to this, right? So there are tools, identify, discover, and locate exact duplicates. Now here within the user interface or within the demo, we're going to show a quick movie here. Actually, go back and we should be able to, let me click on the video here. Sorry about that. In this video, we're going to see how our visual search pre-built integration works. We're going to do a couple of things. We're going to search for duplicates of the images we have and those images that may have some resemblance to other images within our system. And then we'll do a little bit of AI tagging as well. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to select an image, and then we're going to select the user interface for the visual search piece. And so here what we see is this basically two inputs, a percentage score. What this does is the percentage score is basically saying how much of a similarity should we have between the image you have selected and the results of the search list that we have in the system. So in this case, percentage score, if we set it to 80 or from 80 to 100%, what we're going to see is that we're going to find duplicates of the selected image. We can also set the number of results here, but if we do a search, what then happens is we get a second tab and we see that indeed here is a exact duplicate of the original image that we had within the user interface. So if we come back here and we look and we see, yep, they are duplicates. The other thing that you can do, of course, is select an image and then say, look, I want to find things that are similar to this. Now, similarity is wide ranging. It could be color, positioning of something within the photo, etc. So if we come here to visual search again, and this time we're going to select 80% and hit search, what we end up seeing is those images that are 80% similar to the selected image from the search that we did. And you can see here that we've got some Cybertrucks mostly, and then we've got this color, most likely because of the color of the car plus the positioning of the vehicle within the image. Now, lastly, just as kind of a bonus, we'll also talk a little bit about AI tagging. Now, AI tagging can happen in multiple ways. So for instance, when an image comes into assets, the image can be tagged by a service. In this case, for demonstration purposes, we're going to go ahead and tag the selected car within this user interface here. And we're going to do that via a status. Now, again, how the tagging happens, again, it can happen on ingestion. It can be ad hoc afterwards. It can have a variety of different tools that do the AI tagging. In this case, we're using a tool called Clarify. And so what we're going to do is we're just going to put this into production. Now, what we'll see in a moment here is the tags show up from Clarify. And WoodWing actually supports multiple services. Rekognition is, and Clarify being the most familiar, and some other ones. So I hope you enjoyed this demonstration. Again, reach out to us if you have interest in talking about this more. Thank you. So we're back. Visual search was the one we just saw. So let's go, and we're going to go to the next item, and we're going to talk about WordPress Studio. And I'm going to give you a little bit of a use case here. We had customers who were transferring data via copy and paste. And it could go both ways, right? So it could go from Studio to WordPress or WordPress to Studio. In the video, you're going to see we're talking about pushing data from WordPress over to Studio. Now, that's fairly straightforward. This customer is also a highly templated magazine. And so what they wanted to do is flow the content all the way through and get it onto an InDesign layout. All of this happening basically with the status change inside of WordPress and then API calls to Studio. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at that. We're going to do a demo, and we're going to go ahead and fire this video. Hi there, my name is Jeff Gapp, and I'm the product manager for WoodWing Connect. And today what we're going to do is take a look at sending content from WordPress to Studio and some of the things that are possible. So in this case, what we're first going to do is mimic a call from WordPress over to our recipe to then send the content into WoodWing Studio. This is done by using a tool, Postman, and what happens here is we send a webhook over to the recipe, and it sends some information here. This article ID is the most important piece here, along with, of course, the notification type. Now, when we do this, what ends up happening is the recipe will then talk back to WordPress, and it will then get the article and push it over to Studio. So we're going to hit send here, and it's that fast. Now, if we come over here into WoodWing Studio, what we end up seeing is if we refresh, we see that the article is already here. It's created the dossier that we need. It's also created, and you can see some activity going on here, actually. This is the digital article for that was created based on the article from WordPress. And then as part of that process, we also create a layout, which you see here, and you can see that it's done working with it, and we create a print article. Now, all of the capabilities are in Studio to do what we're doing now. In other words, there's an API for the digital side. There's APIs for creating the layout and placing the digital article onto the InDesign layout. Now, if we were to come over to InDesign, switch, and we'll go ahead and refresh our palette, what we end up seeing here is here at the top, again, InDesign article. But if we look closely, we'll see that, hey, this little guy here is saying that the article is placed onto the layout, placed on, of course. So if we open this up, what then happens is the InDesign client opens the article, and it's got some instructions from the process. And in this case, it placed the headline and it placed the body of the text onto the page. Now, how things get onto the page is configurable. The conversion of the digital article to the print article, you could determine what kind of component it goes into, what style sheets are used, et cetera, et cetera. But very simply, we are taking content from WordPress, putting it into Studio, creating a layout, creating a print article, and then placing the article onto the InDesign layout. All happens behind the scenes very, very fast. So if you have any questions, please contact us. Thank you. Okay, lastly, we have a pre-built integration for Monday.com. And this one I really love because the intention of the pre-built integrations, of course, is that the idea of a customer can take this and then they can work with our teams and build something even more complex and more interesting based off of what they want to do. That's actually what we did with this Monday.com pre-built integration. The PBI, what it does is it takes the works with both Studio and assets, and so users of Monday.com can create projects within Monday.com, and in Studio you get a dossier. And as part of that process, you can also create in copy or digital articles, and you can also create lab templates. Right? So that's the basic PBI. When our user changes the status of the dossier or the underlying labs or articles, those dossiers or the statuses of those items are updated inside of Monday. So that's the basics of the PBI. And for assets, it's essentially the same, but a little different. So again, in Monday, you can send the Monday interface to create, say, a brochure request that's sent over to assets. We create a collection, a folder structure, etc. And when a user adds a image to the collection, that collection then is updated, and the image preview is sent over to Monday so that somebody can approve that. So that's a really cool one that we do. The next item is, of course, a tool that is really here and meant to go ahead and it's to meet a feature gap for some customers where we have some engineering firms that have CAD/CAM files, and CAD/CAM files, like the preview and thumbnail generation tools and assets, is ImageMagick, and ImageMagick doesn't handle CAD/CAM, so we needed a third-party tool to be able to do that. And the idea here is you can submit an image into a CAD/CAM file to Asset 6 or Assets 10, and then Convert API will go ahead and generate a JPEG preview of that file for the user. If you take a look at actually convertapi.com, you'll see all the capabilities of that tool and what it can do for generating, quote, unusual files. They're not unusual, but they're ones that are maybe not standard to DAM implementations. So it's really cool one, great tool, and pretty interesting to work with. So we are at key takeaways. Magdalena?
Yes, thank you so much, Jeff and Paul. I'd like to just summarize the featured or highlighted WoodWing applications and integrations that our audience was able to see within these last 40 minutes. And I'm sure it's a lot of information, but I just like to really summarize everything. So in the beginning, you were able to preview what Paul showcased, and that's the workflow assistant and the content delivery hub. So with the workflow assistant, what the end user gets is a very simplified user interface that is role-based, and it really is helpful for training and onboarding new users to the system of WoodWing assets. But also what it does, it boosts their productivity because they don't feel lost and they can really navigate across the WoodWing assets digital asset management user interface through that workflow assistant. Then the content delivery hub, it really enables a true multi-channel publishing solution from one source and ensures that there is consistency and the content is always on brand across the print and web and digital channels. Then you were able to preview the WoodWing Connect the PDF manager, sorry, the how to standardize the output. So automate all that content generation through the PDF manager, but not just focus on PDF files. It can really entices and includes many more configurable file formats in order to improve accuracy, consistency, and of course, speed and compliance when you are pushing your content towards the digital channels. Then Jeff Gapp showcased you the WoodWing Connect pre-built list of pre-built integrations that we selected, hand-selected for this webinar. And that was the Monday.com, the Convert API, WordPress to WoodWing Studio, and the like. And again, he showcased the AI-powered assistant and the automation possibilities it offers to the users within WoodWing Studio's digital editor. So I hope I managed to cover everything. We do have quite a small time frame to answer the potential questions that we have. In the meantime, I had a poll in the site, and I'm going to run the results for everybody to see. But yes, I do have a couple of questions, and I would like to ask Paul and Jeff to join us on stage for these. So one of the first questions was an interest for the pricing and packaging or the pricing and licensing options for these integrations. And I've asked anybody that is interested, we are going to follow up with you after the webinar. With our sales rep are going to provide you with all the information on the pricing and licensing options. So this webinar sole purpose was to showcase the potential and the options we have within those WoodWing pre-built integrations and the WoodWing apps. There is a question for Jeff from Paulo. How does the PDF manager handle Adobe fonts?
Sure. So just like InDesign Server needs to have the fonts that are available to them, right? So you need your full set of fonts within InDesign Server. If you're in the WoodWing Cloud, we have a process right now to help you manage those, which goes through our teams. And what we're hoping to do in the very near future is provide a mechanism for you to be able to upload and manage your fonts yourself. But right now, we have to have the fonts because of design.
Thank you. I don't think the other questions. Oh yes, there we have a new one. Gaetano, are the shown features already available? And if not, when will they be available? I'm not sure for which specific application is this, but maybe Jeff and Paul can both.
Everything you saw is available from me and from PDF Manager, PDF Dialog, the PDIs, the AI Assistant, all of that's available right now.
Thank you. There is a question from, I suppose, a customer. We're using both WoodWing assets and Wrike. What is the pre-built Wrike integration? What is the pre-built Wrike integration mentioned in the slide?
Yeah. So just like the Monday.com integration, it's fairly simple. It's fairly straightforward. The idea is within Wrike to be able to create, say, a project, pass that project over to Studio and Assets, create either in Studio.ca or within Assets, a directory structure plus a collection, and then be able to update information from Studio or Assets back into Wrike. So it follows the same basic model. Again, it's fairly simple, it's fairly straightforward, mainly just like Monday and Wrike, because the workflows of the customers are so different how they choose to implement them, that we've left things very straightforward. And then we get into a discussion with you about how you might wrap that around your business.
Well, thank you. Now, I don't think we have a new question. Oh, yes, there is a new question. Well, from Chris, can the Monday.com integration be used to update the status of an item in Monday.com when you set the article or layout to a specific status in Studio?
Yes. So the answer is yes, and here's the caveat, right? So the thing that ends up happening is you need to do the initial creation of things from Monday, right? So if you create an initial article, what ends up happening is, we send data over, we might create an article. And when we do that, When we create the article, we create a sub-item, an item or a sub-item in Monday. And so now we have a unique link, right? We know what the IDs are. And as you change statuses, we just pass that information back to Monday. Yeah.
Thank you. Well, as we've seen, there's another question. When when sending an article from WordPress to Studio, how does the automatic layout creation work?
Yeah, great question. So there have been APIs within Studio for quite some time called create object relations. And so what we do is at WordPress, doesn't really matter how you do this in WordPress, but essentially what happens is WordPress sends a message to a recipe, says, hey, somebody wants to put this into Studio. We then grab that. We go grab the article from WordPress, put it in Studio as a digital article, and then we issue an API call that says, hey, create put this on a layout, use this layout template, create the article, and save the object. So we use InDesign Server to do that whole kind of operation, right? So there's an API call that allows us to do that whole thing in one call, and it's called create object operations.
Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to comment that on the side panel, we did receive quite a few answers on which areas the audience benefit most from automation in their organization. So there's kind of I would have to say, an even type of answer for all of the options. The one that wins the most, or almost 50%, said that the system integrations with CMS, PIM, or CRM systems, etc. But I would like to also showcase the results from the first poll, and maybe our Paul can comment on these. So we asked the audience how integrated are their current content workflows today, and we did get again a mixed volume of answers, but the majority said that they heavily rely on manual steps and file sharing, and some of them do have a few automations in place. Do you have a comment or a final takeaway for the users that are actually using this webinar, joining this webinar to learn more about the applications and the integrations we offer?
Absolutely. And you can try and automate things via code and inner services, but ultimately there's still a lot of decisions that need to be made that thankfully humans can still make, hence why manual steps can be the way people look toward. But having these manual steps, trying to make that efficiency and efficient and less error prone, this is exactly where the workflow assistant really comes to the fore in taking those manual processes and helping people, reduce that time and making it clear step by step. Sometimes with manual processes, again, you might onboard interns. Here's a million images, please process these in this particular way. So this is exactly the job where the workflow assistant steps in.
Thank you. I would like to wrap up the session because, we've answered all of the questions in the panel. I'd like to again thank both speakers today, Paul Walker and Jeff Gapp. Thank you so much for these insightful videos, demonstrations, and really, I think we managed to also showcase and demo majority of the integrations and WoodWing apps, but also highlight the business benefit and the end user benefit in a nutshell. I will, after this webinar, you'll receive 2 links. So after we end the session, you can explore our integrations marketplace, where I believe all of the integrations and apps are mentioned today are listed over there. For some of them, of course, there are demo videos that Jeff and Paul have recorded, and you can watch it in action. Feel free to reach out to us for a personalized demo if you have a specific need that you'd like to highlight, or or solve. And we'll be more than happy to come back to you. For all the ones that joined us live today, you will again receive the recording of this webinar, and all the registrants that were unable to join us during this live moment, they're going to receive the recording. Thank you very much for today, and hope to see you soon. Bye-bye.